All right, welcome back, everybody, to That's Offsides with my co-host Chileno and Homie. I'm your host Juan, and we're back, man. It's been a little hiatus. We took a break with the international break just because, we got busy, and the second half of the international break, wasn't too eventful. We don't have to talk about all that, but Champions League is back, the most beautiful tournament in the entire world, the UEFA Champions League. We have the first few matches of the year today. It's been a long wait. Manchester City is the current champions for now. Hopefully, uh, they won't be able to turn that around again this season. We have a new champion. Hopefully, Real Madrid. Just throwing a random name out there. But yeah, how are you guys doing today?
Good. I'm gonna be suave chileno. Gonna rock the hat tonight because I'm tired and I just started a new coaching gig, coaching JV tennis at the high school that I work at. So I'm exhausted, very exhausted. Uh, and then after watching my country shit the bed, and then my club team shit the bed, I've decided to not watch teams anymore. I'm just gonna crawl in a hole and in the pitch black dark room.
All right, so Chileno has officially retired. I can't blame him, especially with the way Chelsea have been playing. We don't even have to mention them this past weekend.
No.
Thankfully, we're only focusing on the Champions League. And how are you doing, homie?
I'm doing a lot better. It's been a good weekend, a good week. Again, this is a Finns Talk Sports Network, so we all are Finns fans here. So good win on the
No.
weekend, but we're talking about footy. You're not a Finns fan?
No, I'm from Houston.
Ill. Anyway,
Dude,
so we're
every
talking about
team sucks.
See, like I'm telling you, I had a
Shannon,
bad
no, that's
sports
unacceptable,
weekend.
man. That's unacceptable.
I had a bad sports weekend. My university got demolished on Saturday. I was at the Texans game on Sunday and we shit the bed. And then my club team, I woke up at 7:45 to watch Chelsea, and I went back to bed 15 minutes into the game.
I pray
And
for you.
Roderick
Chad.
is your
I pray.
forward, and CJ Stroud is your quarterback.
Yes.
Anyhow, just we have some highs, some lows. I'm pretty sure Chileno and his Chelsea Football Club will be back pretty soon, eventually if they don't get relegated. But yeah, we had a lot of great games. I think one of the top ones that I was mentioning to you guys off air was Lazio versus Atletico de Madrid. I did see some comments about Atletico de Madrid here from Anthony. So yeah, we probably have some Atletico de Madrid fans here. What a crazy game! Not crazy in the event of the whole game, but just the way it ended. So this game starts off with a goal from Barrios. The ball gets deflected. The goalkeeper had no chance whatsoever. He was pissed at his teammate. Understand. So, do you guys get a chance to watch this game? Maybe check it out.
I did, yeah, and Molina with the assist on that goal, but it was such a just like lucky goal with the deflection. It looked like he was aiming for the far post, and I from the angle, I was trying to find an angle that I can see if it was getting on target anyway, but it looked like it was going to curve out. So look at me, it was going off, just slightly off target, right off the post maybe. So there's no telling. We don't know what's going to happen. Game is weird, but it kind of is a go for Leti, and they start off 1-0, and then they did the classic Simeone: score a goal, park the fucking bus.
Yeah, from there, I knew that once they had scored that goal, like you said, homie, the rest of the game was going to be a drag, and it was. It was. Lazio tried every which way. They did have their chances, a lot of chances, and Lazio's goalkeeper Provedel, besides the play at the end, we'll get to that one. He had a lot of big saves, man. Atletico de Madrid, even when they had the lead, they had some very clear chances where they could have put the dagger and really sealed it. But Provedel came up big in a lot of chances. There was one instance where an Atletico de Madrid player gets caught in a one-on-one, and Provedel, instead of waiting for the player to take the shot, he just rushes out, makes a play, and makes a really great save on it. And the rest of the game wasn't really too eventful, but we got to get to the last play. really when you thought everything was done, Atletico Madrid had successfully parked the bus and dreaded us with some really bad footy. It happened, man. In at minute 94, number 94, Broedel comes in, and who had the assist for this one, homie?
With Luis Alberto, I think he's a Brazilian.
Puts in a beautiful cross, and it was crazy because it's like those two players connected at that exact same moment. Luis Alberto goes in for the cross, and Provedel is rushing in to make the header. The ball is perfectly placed, and the strike is just a violent strike. The other keeper had no shot whatsoever, and I mean a beautiful ending. No, no bias from me, but seeing Atletico de Madrid get it stuck in their face like that at the end of a game in historic fashion in the 90 plus aggregate time is pretty funny to see. Again, no bias whatsoever for me, but yeah, homie, what'd you think of that ending?
So it was insane. Like I was like just all my I was like watching Barca game at the same time. So I was back and forth. So I had the Barca game on my TV, and I was illegally streaming, pirating my way to watching any other game I could. And I just like, okay, the Lazio game, I haven't tuned in, and I tuned in for like the last 10 minutes of the game. All I see is this beautiful cross. I see this keeper with the mobility of Erling Haaland for a stunning header. Like just beauty. Like I was screaming like because again, Atleti is a Barca La Liga rival, so I'm gonna laugh at them if they do some dumb shit. And I was laughing all the way with that. And not to mention, I had a draw bet on Lazio after Atleti scored. So thank you, Lazio.
Isn't isn't Atleti one of those teams that sometimes they'll be like up here, and then once they get hot, they're like they score an early goal. They're like, we can just play defense all the time. We're up 1-0 and stuff like that. Let's play lower, and then obviously you see what happens is their defense shits the bed, and they end up with a draw instead of a win.
And this
And
is it,
then
right? Atleti gets and sorry for cutting you off, homie. Atleti gets a lot of hate uh, from commentators and pundits and things like that. And it's for a reason. Their style of play, while effective, and if you're a fan of Atleti, you're gonna get those wins, so you're happy for that. But as a football fan, I mean, it's putting you to sleep, man. This type of play. It's not fun to watch. It doesn't only put the fans to sleep. It's a method of play that it's aiming to put the other team to sleep, and it puts them out of hope. And that's why coming into the 93rd, 94th minute, unless it's a team that's like really wired differently, which looking at this Lazio team, I didn't see any of that on paper. I didn't expect any of that. I'm thinking the game is iced already, 1-0, got their win. I was really about to turn the game off, but I mean there was really nothing else I could watch, so I just left it on until the end. Just an insane ending. And as a football fan overall, that's poetic justice, man. That's poetic justice because you're doing a disgrace to the game by just parking the bus. And yet if the method of play is effective, so be it. But it's disrespecting the game where you're not playing the game correctly, in my opinion. And to see it come back and backfire on you just in the nick of time when you literally have no time left to respond. As soon as you kick the ball off, game's over. Poetic justice, in my opinion. One of the great games, overall, pretty boring game, but that ending, man, just wow. Couldn't ask for anything more. Moving on to the
And it's crazy because I picked in this group. I remember we made our predictions. I think I picked Atleti to finish first and Celtic to finish second. So I may be regretting that decision right now.
So yeah,
and I do. Before we move on, I do want to say that if it wasn't for that Atleti header that Anthony is saying in the chat here, they would have won that game. It was very fortunate that the keeper had such intuition to just let me get in a good position because that's awareness of what time is left on the clock. That is intuition to just say, hey, let me put my positioning and my body on the line to get my team a point in the Champions League. I can't remember when Lazio was last in the Champions League.
Yeah.
It might have been the Cheeto Immobile like prime season where you drop like 30 goals a season, like it was nothing. But it was, and then in terms of Atleti I think they're not going to be eliminated. They'll still finish top 2 in this group. Feyenoord, got very lucky with Celtic. We'll touch on that game, getting very lucky against Celtic. And then Lazio are a quality opponent. So a draw against them is not a bad feat at all. Especially if Atleti play with a little more like attacking, maybe they'll park the bus like later in the game. But if they went more attacking, they have talent up front. Like Griezmann's still very good. He's still a very good striker in Europe. Alvaro Morata can get a sneaky goal in there once in a while. And they have playmakers. So it's still, I don't like Diego Simeone. Simeone, I always fuck up his name. Tactic wise, but if they get wins, they get wins.
Yep. And then just let's touch up on this last point by Anthony here. He says he has his statement here. I can't read all of that, but I would disagree with what Anthony's saying, given that he's saying that Arsenal kind of.
I was just about to comment on that too.
In parking the bus, but I mean I would disagree with it because Arsenal plays really beautiful style of football when they get on their offensive end. They have playmakers like Odegaard. They have guys like Martinelli on the wing, who has really broke out as one of the top strikers in Europe. Saka on the other side, not much other to say about him. And I would say the only missing piece for them is striker. But I mean, Arsenal, they go out there and they try to get it. I mean, we've said it on this podcast again and again. Arteta, he's mini Pep Guardiola. He tries to do the same tiki-taka. He tries to play in a good brand of football, which I appreciate. And, when I look at a team like Atletico de Madrid, while they have the quality to do it, they're not a team that does that consistently. So, yeah, I would disagree there. But we'll move on to the next game. Homiee, you touched on this one a little bit, Feyenoord versus Celtic. I didn't watch the full game of this one. I caught the highlights. But, I mean, what an insane game this was. Chileno, if you didn't get the chance to watch it, there were 2 red cards. There was penalties. There was drama. There was all types of shenanigans happening in this game. And I mean, Homiee, you touched a bit on it. You watched this game. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, so in the first half, like late in the first half, like Feyenoord was all over Celtic for most of the first half. But in terms of shots, but Celtic it was relatively even out. Actually, I would say it was about even possession almost, even shots. So, but it was nothing that was threatening. But then late in the first half, right before halftime, they get a free kick about maybe 28 to 30 yards out. And they take it with a guy named Stengs.
Calvin Stengs.
Stengs. And he delivers a left-footed curler around the wall. And I think the keeper lost it because they had Feyenoord players kind of lined up next to the wall where the ball went. Until the keeper sees it, it's already curling around the wall, heading for the bottom right corner. Because this ball bounces, the keeper then gets 2 hands on him and then pushes it right into the net. So it was just unfortunate situations. That was just a solid free kick. And then the next half, we get a red card, a second yellow that leads to a red that gives a penalty to Feyenoord. I see one of the worst penalties ever taken. And my one thing, Juan, did you see where he lined up before he started his run?
I caught the back end of it, so I was seeing the keeper's angle. So you break it down.
He directly lined up straight with the ball. What is my number one rule? Do not trust a penalty taker that directly lines up in front of the ball. Never. I said it with Enzo Fernandez, and I said it with everyone that does it. They'll always miss. And Joe Hart, the experienced keeper at Celtic, saves it. And then a few minutes later, they get their second goal after the second red card, which is studs up right into the shin of another Feyenoord player.
Yeah, and I mean, back to what you were saying, let's not get too ahead of it here. So going back to Calvin Stengs' free kick, what you were touching on it, Homiee, besides the curve that it took, it's the bounce that it takes before heading towards a goal. So, I mean, I would say that's has a higher level of difficulty than a free kick that's coming directly to the goal, because you see at least you get a chance to see it, make a play on it. But when it bounces, the keeper has no idea where the ball is gonna go. They have to react if they have to react in half a second when a shot's coming their way, you have to cut that like 75%. So makes it almost impossible to react. Beautifully taken by Calvin Stengs. And yeah, I mean, the penalty by Gustav Lagerbielke, who gets his second yellow on a really stupid play. I don't think the forward by Feyenoord was gonna get in and make a play for goal. On that, I think the keeper was gonna get to it, but Lagerbielke just sticks out his arm, clear penalty, and yeah, like you said, the penalty is horribly taken. Every time a penalty taker does that, line up directly in front, or they line up, take a really short run, I always get a bad feeling about it.
Nervous. Again,
So yeah, for you is when they line up directly in front. For me, it's when they take a shorter step than usual. If they usually line up a little bit long and they take like 2-3 steps less, I'm always like, oh my god, what's about to happen here? And then you get a direct red card on Odin Thiago Home, who makes a pretty Brexit tackle, I would say. But I mean, red card. I mean, do you agree with it? He was coming in with the bottom sole of his foot. That shows how. But
if he doesn't lift up his foot, it's a yellow. The reason was because he lifted up his foot. If he keeps his foot relatively low to the ground, it's a yellow card. And
I think anytime you lift up your foot and the spikes are right there and it hits any part of a body, they're gonna show the red.
Here's my thing though. How come you can do the same thing if the spikes are facing down? You can stick your foot out with the spikes facing down and hit another player. You might get a yellow, but you won't get a red. If the spikes are if you don't have your foot up in the air and the spikes are facing down, like if it's a regular tackle, you come in, step on another player's foot. So a lot of times this happens and it goes by unnoticed. So, I would like to see some consistency there. I feel like that's more of a red by the way it looks than the way that it actually is. The damage that's actually taking place.
I think also the guy who got fouled sold it pretty well. He did like a ballerina twist midair and it looked kind of funny.
No, yeah,
he also sold a little bit
in real time, but I mean, some consistency. Yeah, for me, the obvious reds, a scissor, you're going in to break a guy's ankles pretty much, or a slide tackle from behind, or last man. Obviously, last man. It doesn't matter how big or small the foul is. So yeah, this was a pretty crazy game. Like you said, Homiee, Igor Paisiao missed the penalty, and then Feyenoord did get some revenge with goal from Jahan Baksh. Probably completely butchering your name. Apologize about that.
You went for the pronunciation and not me.
I mean, Feyenoord went for it. Feyenoord looked good. Celtic looked good in the first half, but it really broke apart in the second half. But I did say Feyenoord were going to be one of the teams to look out for this season. They come out with a win. They get the 3 points. And that is – what group is that?
I think it's Group E.
All right. So, yeah, that is Group E. Moving on to Group F, we have Milan versus Newcastle. I watched this one at work. Dude, Milan had so many chances to take it. And there's one play I want to talk briefly. We mentioned it in the group chat, Homiee. Leao had one play where he basically takes on the team by himself. He's right in front of goal. He takes on like 2 or 3 guys. He's right in front of goal. And as he kicks, he like trips on himself. And I'm like, my God. And I'm not even going to give him shit for it because he's tripping on himself because he's obviously out of air. He's out of legs. He really had nothing much else to give. So it's like, man, just unfortunate.
Leao,
you may not be giving him shit, but the ESPN soccer broadcast team, did they light into him.
Boy, those people have
literally when I was looking at scores and watching highlights, literally every single one of them was like, what a bum. And I'm like, what are y'all talking about?
Kidding me, man. And that's the thing. A lot of these guys, they don't know what it takes to be on a pitch. They don't know. Dude, he ran the entire – that's coming off a counterattack. That means he ran the entire fucking pitch. Did you know that every time you make a juke move, a dribble, anything like that, you're in-game, you're burning the equal amount of calories that you would burn the whole length of running an entire football pitch? That's the amount of physicality these guys are under. And it's like, dude, come on. I can't even give him shit. The guy, he's still young. He still needs to mature as a player. He's going to get better stamina overall. He's going to get stronger legs. he's gonna finish plays like that and give him a year. Maybe later on in the year. We're only in September. Erik Ten Hag and Ronaldo won't even win AFC. Jesus Christ.
Love it. We only put Erik Ten Hag in the title. We're not even gonna talk about the Premier League. We could probably touch on the Man United game.
We're gonna talk about the Premier League a little bit at the end, guys, and definitely Erik Ten Hag is gonna be the main protagonist of our.
He's on fraud watch right now, man. He's on fraud watch.
But yeah, I mean, Milan. That's really all I have to say about that. Milan had their chances. Kind of a boring game at the end, but
all I do want to say is what Anthony was trying to reference. I think he said Arsenal by accident, but I think he's trying to mention Newcastle. Newcastle is the park the bus team in the Premier League, and I'll shit on them all day.
Yeah,
they are the park the bus team, and we shit on them. So, Anthony, to answer your question, if you even just watch the highlights of this Newcastle game, it's mostly Milan highlights. Most of them, just shots. Nick Pope saves, shots off target, and you have like the one-off like counterattack that Newcastle gets. So we'll shit on Newcastle for you. But as Jared Sandler asks, who's winning the Ballon d'Or? I think we all know the answer to that. El Ocho Yene.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll cross that bridge. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. We're only
Xavi Simons is the best player in the world. Hey, La Masia product, man. They always get talent. But
this guy, some random John Rossi says, ask this Juan character why Arsenal's gonna win the UCL. I mean, we'll see.
hey, he's talking. Hey, Juan, he's calling you out right now.
I mean, we'll see. Play this week. Homie, pull it up. Who do Arsenal play this week?
They'll play
tomorrow. We'll see they have a pretty complicated group.
They play PSV Eindhoven.
Oh, that's gonna be interesting. Chucky Lozano,
who they lost to in the Europa League group stage last year. And they beat them before that, so it's Arsenal, even on the head-to-head. It's even
Arsenal. Arsenal, not a team that is known to perform in the brightest light.
Okay. Watch a Chelsea slander, okay? We have a sad Chelsea fan down here, okay? Just watch it.
Whoa, hey, buddy, there's no need to bring Chelsea into this. We're talking Champions League teams, not Europa League teams. Wait.
It's okay.
Chelsea didn't even make it there. We're not even talking about conference.
My team, we're not even in it, so there's no point
mentioning Chelsea.
Yo, can we call offsides on the chat right now?
Offsides on the chat. Blow the whistle. There we go.
Oh my God.
Yo, like Doku better than Saka.
Hey, Juan, do you know this guy John Rossi?
This guy John Rossi, man,
he's kind of a random. He's kind of a random. Man. We don't really know. I came in here. All right, but I got a question for Anthony Manzana. Homie, if it's the heat in the moment, how can a referee give a red card for sliding with your cleats up? If it's heat in the moment, if the game is getting very physical, maybe they can let it get away with it. But in my opinion, if you're tackling someone with studs up, cleats up, and you're going high, if it's low, it's a yellow. But they lift that leg up because you're getting to the knees, the shins, your thighs, maybe even your groin area where it hurts. It's red for me. So we'll move on though with this chat getting too rowdy. I think we gotta keep an eye on this chat, AJ, man. They're getting a little too rowdy for me.
Yeah, all right. So next game we're gonna go PSG versus.
That's
Dortmund.
what happens when you bring the fans out.
You guys watched the pod a few weeks ago when we were doing the revelation of the group stage. We had some hot takes about PSG. There was a lot of questions about PSG. What was PSG going to do? Coming up versus Dortmund, Dortmund, a team that they're all right. They're in decent form, but yeah, like Homie said, they're on the downslope. It's a long fall from grace, but it's a fall nevertheless.
They'll pick back up though.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So PSG gets on the board, Mbappe with a penalty. This was off a run by Dembele that wearing the number 10. Looks fast, man. He's looking fast. He's looking good out there. He's looking sharp, making plays. Puts in across what I thought was a very bang play in the Premier League. we mentioned the Premier League here a lot. A lot of you guys give a shit for it, but in the Premier League, every time if a player's falling down and it touches the hand, it's not called. So on this one, the penalty is called on a handball. The player the player's hand is it's a handball, but the player's falling. As he's coming down. Usually that's not a call. They say it doesn't count because the player was falling. Really doesn't have control of his movement. Homie, do you think that was a penalty?
It's a call that's going to be very inconsistent. It's an inconsistent call all the time because I see at times that it's not called and at times it is called. So it's such a opinionated call depending on the ref and the VAR assistant at that time because I think it's Sule, I don't know how to say his name. He's falling backwards. His arm is extended from his body, but it's almost on the floor already.
Yeah,
so he's trying to save himself from falling, and so his arm is not on the ground yet. So I think that's why they didn't give the penalty. Oh, that's why they gave the penalties, and it's not on the ground already trying to save himself. It's still kind of midair. So I think that's why they get the penalty, but it's such an inconsistent call. I still don't like it.
I also, and Chileno, we're gonna put it to you because you're the expert on penalties getting called and not getting called like that. You know what I'm talking about with Chelsea. But anywho, it was also a very bang play. Mbappe was right in that guy's face. He basically had no time to react. So I thought, it could have gone either way. I thought it was a bit unjust. I'm not gonna be so mad at it. But I mean, Chileno, Chelsea last year, they had a few games where they had plays similar to that, where I think they were called. They weren't called, and they were supposed to be called. I mean, what do you think of that? When a player's falling down, the ball hits his hand, should it be called a penalty?
I mean, okay, you do know the whole accidental penalty call. Player tries to cover, hits his hand, and they call it. And then I don't know. I mean, if you go by the book, okay, if you're in the box and the ball touches your hand, it's a penalty. But I don't know if there's any rule for what's called the accidental handball, because you don't know if it truly is accidental. Okay, it's someone shoots the ball. Oh, let me cover myself real quick, and then slowly when the ball comes, you swat it like that. Okay, that's what you have to look at, and I guess that's why they have VAR in place. But as far as being a Chelsea fan, being on the recipient end of penalty calls, distributing penalty calls, I don't know if I would have called a penalty on someone falling down and that, but I'm not the official. So if it were me, I probably wouldn't have called it.
Yeah, that's one when it's just let the boys play, man. But
exactly,
I'm not mad at it either. I mean, it's not the end of the world. PSG did look like the better team in the end. This one, the thing where it's is the win deserved? PSG had more shots. They were dominant in possession. Had almost 3 times more expected goals than Dortmund. And then they came in with
possession.
Hakimi in the 58th minute puts together a beautiful play and reminds us all once again he's one of the best right backs in the world right now. Making a beautiful play inside the box, designing the play by himself, pulling all the strings as he's going. No, this is all facts.
Do you see this comment by this 23423? This one going, if it was Messi fell down to be awarded a penalty, facts. Yeah. 100% facts. If it was Messi, they would give it to him every time.
Cook.
But just saying.
Hakimi makes a beautiful play. And I mean, why don't you get the hands out of your ears and tell us what you thought about this Hakimi goal, man?
It was beautiful. 1-2 play with Vitinha in the box. I think they passed it between each other 3 or 4 times. Just beautiful football. Luis Enrique, this is a different PSG that we've seen from the past years. These past years have been find your playmaker, give it to him, and then the attack just goes. This is a more structured PSG team. The Zaire Emery looks great. Ugarte looks amazing in the midfield. Vitinha, they actually have an actual midfield who can play together and dominate a midfield. And Dortmund aren't slouches. Yes, they aren't maybe the Dortmund that had Jude Bellingham and had all these talented players, like young. But they have a solid midfield, but PSG was just better. Kula Moini had an off game, and Mbappe looked good. Dembele looked good, even though I'm a big Dembele hater. Dembooty, it was a nickname at Barca. Juan used that plenty of times, I'm sure. But he actually looked good against PSG, and I think Hakimi won man of the match for the game. He was great.
Yeah, I mean, he had a 9.0 on FOTMob.
Yeah,
wow. And then defensively, they were rock solid as well. So I think there's like Luis Enrique. Yes, they have struggled in the Ligue 1, but they came into the Champions League and they dominated. Like it was not even close.
What are y'all's opinions on Luis Enrique as a head coach?
He's all right.
I'm biased because he won a treble with us.
Right.
But
he's all right, but
he's a good manager.
We're one game in. Let's not overreact. We're using the word dominant. We're using the word, a lot
they were dominant in this game.
A lot of big words. But let's just see they are struggling in League One. We have to see them pull some consistency here. Not every team is, that one team that does have the switch to turn it on in the Champions League. But, we keep going down the road here. The rest of these games, I didn't really watch them, to be honest with you guys. We have Leipzig versus Young Boys. We kind of knew how that was going to go. Obviously, Leipzig pulled up with the win. Man City versus Estrella Roja.
Dude.
That one.
Who was down 1-0 at halftime.
Man City were scared.
Yeah, but, I mean, in the end, you knew what was going to happen, man.
Yeah, Julian Alvarez just carries Holland like always. Nothing new. Baranya.
I mean, you got some takes on this one, homie. I mean, run us down through this game.
Oh, dude. So it was an early part of the game. This is another game, but if you watch the highlights, every highlight was a man. Red Star did not have the ball for the first half if you only watch the highlights. But we do have a Man City fan in the chat. I know Jared. He's a Man City fan. I hate him for it, but the first half, they were just dominant. They should have had 4 goals in the first half. Holland should have had 2. Phil Foden missed from the 6-yard box. He missed a tap in. Julian had a couple chances that went wide off the post. But the Red Star keeper, Glazer, I think it was last name, he had a great first half in terms of saves. He was just all over the place. But then second half comes around. Erling Haaland picks up the ball, plays more like a false 9. Gets deep. Julian Alvarez in behind, sends him through, and then he gets the opening goal, just rounds the keeper, and then from then on, it was the floodgates opened from there. So it was just a beauty for a comeback for Man City. They did this now twice in a row. In the Premier League, they beat this past weekend. They beat 3-1 against my West Ham. Yeah. We were up 1-0 in the first half, and then they came and scored 3 goals like it was nothing. So, Man City still very dangerous, even without Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah. So Anthony here, he goes, Chileno Homiee or Juan, does the board for FIFA or UEFA have provisions where if a referee continues making major mistakes like this, they take their ability to coach big games in the World Cup or UCL? I mean, we've seen it happen within the league. I know in the Premier League, Arsenal had a big scandal versus Brentford last year where that referee was taken off the board. He wasn't allowed to referee in the Premier League anymore. I don't know if that was, one of those bans that's like for life. I don't know if he's refereeing in another professional league. I don't know if the Premier League's going to ever reconsider him. But that's always a question mark, And here in this podcast, we always give props to refs when they make good calls because we're in a state in all sports where we're in lack of good referee calls, man. So
yeah, so my understanding of that question is FIFA and UEFA, I think, have their own referee board that they review some of the controversial calls or some calls throughout a game. And they'll give a grade to the referees, and then they'll get put with their own tier list of okay, these are our elite referees for our big games. These are for the knockout stages of the Champions League. These are for the big games that are within the group stages, stuff like that. So that's my big understanding that in FIFA maybe have the same thing. That I don't know if they have like a public thing where they review incidents during the game that VAR looked over, and then they post like, "Hey, their decision was correct or the decision was wrong." They list an explanation with the rules and stuff. So I know the Premier League do that. So I don't know if FIFA or UEFA do anything like that.
I can tell you for FIFA because I know. So my sister has a friend that ref women's leagues and she's ref men's leagues games as well. What she was telling us is that they get reviewed constantly for every single game that any kind of mistake. So if there's an offside call that gets overturned, that they get like a doc on like their review for that game. So I think this is straight FIFA, not UEFA. And FIFA keeps track of how many docs you have. And I believe if you hit a certain amount, they're like, okay, you can't ref this game, or you're basically gonna have to ref this game. So it's almost like a point system that I believe FIFA does with their officials. So there's that. But as far as UEFA, I don't know how UEFA officials they handle them. But I do know for FIFA, it's kind of like a docking point system.
Yep, and I mean, that's pretty much our take on that.
All right, nice.
We ran through Man City Estrella Roja, going on to Group H, Barcelona versus Royal Antwerp. Homie, let's through this one.
So I don't know what Chelsea and Atleti done to João Felix. He is one of the best playmakers I've ever seen in a while, outside of Messi for Barcelona. He had just an insane game. I think he's played 2 or 3 games for us. I think he has 3 goals and 2 assists in starts. And he just delivered a masterclass. 2 goals, 1 assist. Lewandowski got on the scoreboard. He looks like himself again. Gavi had a strike with venom into the back of the net. We just dominated. It's expected against Royal Antwerp. They put up a good fight. They tried. But Barcelona just kind of laid their full weight on them. They didn't really have a chance. And then Rafinha had my assist of the Champions League. It was on the right wing, delivered a beautiful cross into the back post. João Felix headed it home at the near post. So, but yeah, just a dominant game. We didn't really. I didn't expect us to have much trouble. I was hoping we didn't have trouble with Antwerp. But dominant performance.
Hey, homie, what did I say when y'all signed João Felix? I said that boy is gonna eat. Yeah, I said he's gonna eat like crazy.
So this we're running like a 4 midfield system, and it's weird because we have wingers but not wingers. So we have our normal 3, and then João Felix is our normal 4th winger, but he's playing like an inside winger, so he's like a hybrid. So he's playing like attacking mid, but he also goes out wide as a winger. And then Gavi, De Jong, and Gundogan just find them, or Rafinha, and then they find Lewandowski, if anything. But it's just after João Felix joined and having João Cancelo as well, Balde, the invert attacks and overlaps that these 2 fullbacks bring is just a different. It's night and day from Sergio Roberto to João Cancelo. And I had a few Barca fans that I follow on TikTok. They were worried about Cancelo. Like, why bring him in? We have Sergio Roberto. I'm like, I don't care about his attitude problems. People who want to play for Barcelona usually get those away because they want to stay with the club. Cancelo has been elite since joining us, and I'm so happy we have him. Hopefully we can keep them both on permanent leave if we can somehow find the money. Because right now they're 2 of our 3 best players right now on the team.
All right, homie. All right. This was Royal Antwerp. Let's tone it down.
Okay, but I'm just telling you how I feel. All right.
I'm just saying.
Next month, this guy's going to brag that Real Madrid is like the best team in the world after being Union Berlin. But,
no need to get defensive. Union Berlin is 10 times the opponent that Antwerp is. You didn't even know they were a football team until last week.
I know more ball than you. Relax.
I'm actually happy that Chelsea's not in the Champions League because then I can now sit back, relax, and watch you two just go at it. Yeah, I'm gonna be like, well, my team's probably gonna get relegated from our own division, so I can just sit back, enjoy.
Don't laugh too hard. And then we move on to our last game. And this one I didn't watch at all. I didn't watch the highlights. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. So Shakhtar versus Porto, 1-3. I don't know if any of you guys got a chance to watch any clips, anything from this game. Yes, no, maybe.
No, it was relatively one-sided.
Yeah. So for this one, we'll just
all 4 goals in the first half, and then they just kind of stopped playing.
I hate that. I hate games like that where you have an exciting first half and the second half is just.
Yeah, it went from 1-0 to 1-1 to 2-1 within 7 minutes.
All right.
Like, damn, this is gonna be a classic. Then it just went to shit.
All right, let's make our picks for tomorrow because tomorrow we have more Champions League ball. We start off with Group A. Everybody get your tables out. We're about to start making picks. So Galatasaray versus FC Copenhagen. For this one, I'm gonna take Galatasaray. They're at home. They're one of the franchise teams that we know in this competition. So what are you guys thinking?
I am gonna rock with Galatasaray just because they have Mauro Icardi starting up front.
All right, and you, Chileno?
Yep. Same.
All right.
Same.
Cool. Next up,
I will just one little tidbit. I will just keep an eye on the right winger for Copenhagen. His name is Rooney. Like I can't pronounce his last name, but his first name is Rooney. He looks like a quality talent. He'll probably end up at like one of the top clubs in Premier League in a few years.
Yeah,
I think he's 18 or 17, something like that. So
yeah. So Anthony versus AC Milan. Moving on to the next game, we have Bayern Munich versus Man United. We won't have to waste our time with that. Moving on to the next game, we have Arsenal versus PSV, and we'll have an extra segment for Manchester United, guys. So
we'll come back to that.
Don't go anywhere. That's gonna be the best part of the show. But next up, we have Arsenal versus PSV. Blizzy's Arsenal. It's gonna be a complicated game, but they are at home. Arsenal always scare me when they're at home. I'm gonna go for this one. It's gonna be a draw.
A draw?
Yeah.
PSV 1-0.
Oh my god! I think Arsenal's gonna take care of business, man.
Okay.
Even though PSV have the Barca legend Luke de Jong, I think Arsenal's gonna take care of it.
They have the Mexican legend Chucky Lozano. So
is Chucky at PSV?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. That's what they're
really.
saying.
I didn't know that. I know Ricardo Pepi's there, but I didn't know Chucky also went. That's cool.
That's what I heard on Univision, unless Univision.
Oh yeah, because Chucky got mad at not getting a penalty. Yeah, what a fucking bitch.
We don't have to talk about that. Anyway, Sevilla versus Lens, pulling out their claws versus PSG a couple games ago. So this one's gonna be interesting. I do think Sevilla takes care of business in this one. What about you?
Dude, Lens is so bad. 5 games, 4 losses, 1 draw. They are so bad. Sevilla's gonna whoop their ass.
All right,
Sevilla. Yeah.
All right. Sevilla. Next up, we have Real Madrid versus Union Berlin.
Union Berlin.
This game
Draw.
I'm gonna go for a draw.
This guy Juan is such a soft heart.
2-2 draw.
No, it's gonna be a 0-0. I already know.
There's no difference. Real Madrid might win this game 6-0 or draw this game 0-0. There's no in between.
I know, bro, dude. We go
Real
back.
Madrid's gonna win at least 4-0.
We always start off slow. We lost the Sheriff the year we won the Champions League.
I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, you guys were clowning, and then
then we got knocked out into the Europa League.
Next up, we have Braga versus Napoli. I'm gonna go for Napoli here. Napoli is a trusted team of mine, even though they beat Lazio. Even though they got beat by Lazio.
Napoli.
Yeah. I'm gonna say draw because they're playing in Portugal.
All right, pretty bold bet there, homie. But I think it's a good one. All right, next up we have Benfica versus Salzburg. I'm gonna take Benfica.
This is tasty because both these teams have young talent.
I'm going to take Benfica, though. They're in excellent form. 2-0, 2-3 win, 2-0 win, 2-3 win, 4-0 win, 2-1.
Benfica at home, probably 2-0.
And I can't bet against my boys. I have Otamendi and Fideo. I can't root against them. So
yeah, and Fideo in Champions League mode. one.
Oh, he's different. He's different.
Then this one I think is the biggest toss-up: Real Sociedad versus Inter Milan. I think this is styles make fights, man. And this one you have a Real Sociedad that is versatile and an Inter Milan team that is just physical. I'm gonna let you guys go first.
Yeah, because Sociedad have had a rough start to La Liga, and I don't know if that's going to carry into the Champions League. They have an inexperienced team. I think Inter Milan are going to just beat them like 2-0, 1-0, and then just get away. So, but this could be like a trap game.
I think it's going to be closer than people think, especially with them playing at home. Yeah. So my prediction would be a 2-1 Inter win.
Also, we have to think about Inter Milan just came off dismantling AC Milan 5-1.
I'm gonna take Real Sociedad 1-0. I'm giving you the score 1-0. And those are our picks for the UEFA Champions League, and don't go anywhere because our last segment we're gonna go into the Premier League briefly. We couldn't go into it fully, but we're gonna go into it briefly. This past weekend on Saturday? On Saturday.
Yes, Saturday.
Manchester United versus Brighton. I mean, my goodness, this was so bad. They knew it was gonna be such a badass beating that the Brighton social media team put a camera. They snuck a camera in Onana's goal because they knew they were gonna put an ass whooping on Erik Ten Hag and Manchester United. This team disrespected one of their best player of all time. And the karma that has followed them since, and not only the club, but the manager has just been Jesus Christ. Like if Erik Ten Hag has done anything to rub you the wrong way in the last few months, these past few weeks, man, have just been golden because his world is falling apart. Erik Ten Hag is officially on the hot seat. And from a brief hot streak last year that they had in February, Erik Ten Hag has gone from being referred to as one of the best upcoming coaches in the world to possibly being out of a job and being out of Europe, out of the big five leagues entirely after this flame out from Man United, showing no sense of touch for culture in his locker room. Really being so disconnected from his players, not knowing how to communicate, turning any complication into a power trip where he just has to strong arm his players into doing what he wants, or pretty much banishing them from the club, especially how you saw with Sancho. Coach had the audacity to just go scorched earth on a player in the press, and then when the player decides to defend himself and not just stand there like a dumbass and take it, the club tries to take repercussive actions against the player. So not only coming from Ten Hag, so the fact that the club is taking their side is just disgusting as well. And we don't even have to get into the Mason Greenwood story and everything that's gone on that end. It's crazy. Manchester United so far this season have 2 goals, 4 and 5 statements. That's math for you. That's stats for you. This is Alex Ferguson's club, guys. Like, this is crazy. Like, what's happened to Man United is a disgrace. And this man, Erik Ten Hag, has pretty much chewed up the brand and spit it back out on the floor and let it rot there, while everybody else just watches and laughs at the club. So yeah, man. For part of me wants to see Erik Ten Hag get canned so I can laugh at him one last time. Part of me wants to see Erik Ten Hag keep going with this club so he and Man United fans who were dirty to their club legends and everything Man United stands for eat dirt for the rest of the season. Like, I honestly wouldn't mind that. So I had to get that off my chest. As a sports fan, it boils my blood. And yeah, I don't know if you guys had any takes on it.
So I'm going to more just mention the game. And this is where my problem with Ten Hag comes from. He doesn't know how to manage a game. He was down 2-0. Danny Welbeck, a former Man United player actually, and Gross score. So they're down 2-0. I'm like, Okay, I need a goal. Let's see. I'm going to sub off one of my strikers for Anthony Martial. Okay, so you take off Hoyland for Martial. So you take off a striker for a striker when you need more goals. Okay, so who else are you going to come on to like adjust and help the attack? You bring on Mejbri. Who? He ended up scoring a goal. But at the time, who? A 20-year-old from Tunisia. I don't know if any of you have heard of this guy.
Never.
Maybe I'm not. I don't know ball, and then this guy was just been really good for them, and then for like Tunisia, and he's coming up. I'd never heard of him. Chileno, ever heard of him? Mejbri?
Mm-mm.
No. So they bring on them two. So then they score, and then Pedro, who comes off for Brian, they see the Zerbi. He brings on Fati and João Pedro to help the attack, maybe a third. They see the conservativeness of Man United. They continue attacking. They get their third. Game's pretty much over with 20 minutes left in the game after being up 2-0. 2 minutes later, Mejbri scores. And then they don't make another substitution to help the attack until the 85th fucking minute, where they bring on Pechestri and Alejandro Garnacho to just attack. And this is my problem. If you're down 2-0 after like 60, 65 minutes, you're going to make a change to help. You're going to change the formation and help change the tactics to go more attacking, right or wrong.
Yeah, that's
So at least
obvious.
you don't even have to go all out. You don't have to go all out. You can just go an inch more attacking, just a little bit more, like push, pressure more, a little more press, play the ball, cut them off. And and then 85th minute, you bring on 2 more attackers. Why not the 75th after you went down, or the 71st, right after you went down 3-0? Bring them on. Maybe they have more impact. Just an embarrassment. And also, just one more meme, because Licha has been getting slandered and absolutely bullied on Twitter by Man United fans and other fan bases. He had the craziest stat. He had 45 stare downs against Brighton, an absolute club record. I don't know what this guy does for Man United. He plays his heart out for Argentina, but he's just a terrible club player. I don't know what it is.
Harry Maguire.
I don't know if it's Ten Hag or he's a fraud. And how do we know if it's Maguire's fault? Maybe it's just Ten Hag being a fraud.
And Harry Maguire. Oh my dude, you can just like, if we could have an entire episode just slandering Man United, and we would need AJ to book us bonus time because we wouldn't have enough. Is
Onana even better than De Gea? I'm sorry, I have to say. I'm sorry to cut you off. Is Onana even better than De Gea at this point?
Look. Here's the thing with Man United fans. Okay, when they hired Ten Hag, they were like, "Oh my God, this is our year." And I apologize to all the viewers right now. Shut the fuck up, Man United fans. Okay, like, you're still going to be the same shitty Man United team that you always are. Yeah, congratulations, you made the Champions League this year. What big whoop. You're probably about to get your asses kicked by Bayern Munich tomorrow. You're going to get stomped.
They already put the score of the game on FotMob. Look, it says 15-0.
You know what's crazy? There's more of a chance that happens than Man United wins.
And all I'm going to say is one thing. Maybe I'm going to get roasted for this. Maybe this is going to turn into – they hired a more attacking Louis van Gaal. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're 100% right.
I would say that's a disgrace to Louis van Gaal, and I'm not a Louis van Gaal fan. Like,
fuck Louis van Gaal.
This guy's horrible, man. He went from being one of the most promising coaches. He's flaming out as one of the worst coaches in Man United, worse than what was it, Ragnar worse than
Ragnick or something.
Yeah, like, bro, like, whatever you can think that like was boring, and this is my thing with the Champions League qualification. Dude, they made the Champions League in a year where Liverpool was off and almost caught their tail, and Chelsea was off. So in Newcastle, they fell off at the end too. So you make you make a push with all those asterisks, and this year, man, from trying to force Garnacho into the starting lineup, to still putting Anthony as one of your starters and not subbing him out even after he plays like complete garbage. It's just a disaster. And yeah, we just needed to get that quick piece of our EPL slash Erik Ten Hag slander. And yeah, man, that's pretty much been all it for me. Anything else you guys want to say?
I don't think we even have to mention like goals of the week, assists of the week, or anything like that. We're just gonna make this like the fraud of the rest of the season. Unless Ten Hag completely 180s his fucking thinking, recalculates everything, and maybe apologize to Jadon Sancho. Dude, I can go on about Jadon Sancho. He's one of the most talented wingers. He's 30 million times better.
He needs a new club. If Ten Hag stays, he needs a new club.
Someone save him. Like I don't think he's gonna end up in La Liga. Maybe an Italian club needs a winger. Maybe I don't know, but
he did good in Italy. And this is my thing.
Going back to Dortmund, even
if by any reason this segment ever catches some traction, if you're a player considering to go to the Premier League, go to every team except Man United. I would even
go to Spurs over Man United.
Championship team.
You can come to my shitty club.
I would even consider going to Chelsea before going to Man United. So Man United is where careers go to die. Man United is where legends who try to have one last nostalgia moment end up getting their career ruined. Man United is where players who have a promising future go to get their careers ruined. Man United is where your career goes to die with a guy like Erik Ten Hag on their coach. That's been everything from us. It's been a bit of a darker note, but hey, sometimes you got to end with some grit for the rest of the week. That's been it from me. Make sure, and the rest of the guys, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all that good shit on the Finns Talk Sports Network.
Follow us on Twitter. We give us some good awful takes sometimes on all sports. So
you have our ads right here. All sports. You'll just see some of the most interesting and unique takes.
Just be careful with Juan's Twitter. He may retweet just a random Kiat at like 3 a.m. and you'll see it in the next morning. So
no comment on that. Whether, but that's it. Everything from us, and we'll see you next week. Peace out.
See ya.